Man, you're seeing on Twitter what you expected offensively. You're seeing a lot of home runs, a lot of offense. I mean, and you expect, I mean, good grief, there could be so many different lineups, 1 through 9, with the talent that this team offers that could hit the ball. I mean, if somehow baseball allowed you to have like 11-man lineup somehow, I think LSU could rock it. And 1 through 11, they might have a hitter at every spot.
We need them softball leagues where you can put
I know
outfielders out there,
Well,
Play baseball, you just bat your whole line.
But so right off the top, obviously you know what I want to hear about, but obviously we want to hear what you've been seeing offensively, and we'll get into details about the pitching, because we know that last year they could hit, and boy, they got guys that can hit this year too. Yeah. And so we'll go a little bit more in depth with the pitching, because that was our problem last year. But offensively, what has impressed you? Who's been popping? Maybe that's a transfer, a freshman. What have you seen? Because we know you've been you said you went to 3?
Yeah, I've been to 3. So the first weekend I was able to make – they only scrimmaged 3 times. I was able to make the Sunday. And then this past weekend they went Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I was able to go Thursday and Friday. And to me, it really almost depends on who's the mound as to how the offense flashes. And I think Jay Johnson's done a good job to where the lineups are pretty even. He hasn't loaded one side, and he does a good job switching them up from day to day. But all the guys you expect, we all expect to pop, have been flashing, right? Cruz, Morgan, Thompson. Thompson a couple times I've been out there. But everybody wants to know how – I would want to know how Skeens looks. And, if you have not seen him, he's massive. He looks like a tight end. He's 6'8".
Really?
He's 6'8", 230. So he's huge.
Wow.
Yeah, true.
They got some big boys on this team.
I really know big boys on this team.
Yeah, he's and maybe we can get into it later. But the size on this team, they're big. They look like a big league team. They size wise. So Skeens, his first couple of at bats, I saw. He didn't hit on Thursday when he pitched, but he hit Friday. And his first couple of at bats against Riley Cooper, he check swing on 2 pitches, the first pitch and then the first pitch the next at bat, and he grounded out the first. I'm like, man. And he did that the previous weekend. I'm like, what is going on? And then all of a sudden he just unleashes power, right? He hits 2 bombs off Sam Dutton. One of them would have broke a fan in the right field stand's hand if they would have tried to catch it. It was an absolute rocket. And I think, he had a lot of power. I think he had double-digit home runs at Air Force. And he's going to see better pitching, but the good thing is he's going to have protection around him, and I think that's what this lineup offers. You got Tommy Tanks coming in; he's looked good. He's kind of a free swinger, but he's got pop. I've seen him hit a home run. I saw him beat the shift on Friday with an absolute missile to the right side. They had 3 infielders.
I love that.
Yeah, because some of these guys just don't care, right? They'll pull it no matter what. And,
exactly. Yeah.
That was impressive. And then I think you got some freshmen like we discussed kind of before we got going here. Zeb Rudell has been really the freshman of the fall. He's got 3 home runs already. He hit a
grand slam. A lot.
Yeah. I think the most impressive thing was Thursday night against Skeens. Skeens is throwing 97, and Rudell battles him to a 3-2 count. And then he turns on 97, and he's a left-handed hitter. He turns on 97 and deposits in the right field bleachers. And I think everybody's like,
wow.
Wait, what? That kid was, playing against varsity high school kids last year, and now he's facing 97 from a top 5 pick. And
he just cranked it.
He did.
That's awesome.
And so he has really flashed. I think Paxton Kling, who's a freshman outfielder, he's a big, physically mature kid. He's hit several doubles since I've been there. And then I think Gavin Guidry's played well. When I've been there, it hasn't been to the degree that Rudell and King have played. But, Gavin Guidry's going to play well. So they got a lot of depth. And the good thing is the freshmen are pushing the other guys. And people may roll their eyes at that. When push comes to shove, we probably have a good idea of who's going to play. But these freshmen are not scared to get out there and compete. And then you have just a slew of freshman hitters that are catchers / first baseman. So it'll be interesting to see how that position shakes out as well.
Yeah. So, how has it looked fielding wise? I mean, so we had problems last year,
No doubt,
you
no
know, a
doubt.
lot, and I haven't seen or heard much about fielding. I mean, obviously, I haven't been able to watch any of the scrimmages, and I just haven't seen much about it, and that's been a concern that I want to know about. I mean, has there been flaws, or is it seem maybe it's cleaned up a little bit?
I would say if you would have asked me the first two scrimmages, I would say it looks great. But on Friday night, so the third scrimmage that I've been to, it kind of reared its ugly head. It looked like it did last year. And it was kind of ugly. You know, Tommy Tanks misplayed an infield fly ball that was an absolute moonshot, but he straight up misplayed it and dropped. I mean, didn't get a glove on it. Then he misplayed a hard ground ball. I think it was probably an error, but I mean, it was pretty hard hit. Thompson messed up a ground ball to him, prevented a double play. I've seen pitchers try to field a bunt, throw the ball down the line. So, and then on Friday night, they weren't able to turn another double play. So Friday night was kind of ugly. It was almost like last year LSU. So I think
don't want to hear that.
Oh, man.
But all reports that I've seen when I haven't been there is that, you know, Tommy White looks good at third base, and to me, he's looked good. He's got a good arm. I tell you what, people don't talk about Nipholt, the transfer from VCU. He's a middle fielder. He is he's one of those kind of Power 5 program guys who's been probably starting since he was a freshman in VCU. You know, they battle for a regional every year, almost like a Kennesaw State type of kid.
Yeah,
Think about them in the regional, to where he's been there, done that, and he's just very solid in the field and at the plate. So I think he's going to provide some depth in the infield. I don't know if he can win the starting spot at second over Dugas. That's going to be an ongoing battle. But he's just a very solid player all around. So I really like him.
The really cool thing about Nipholt that, I mean, just absolutely jumps off the page stat-wise. When he transferred, I went and looked into his stats. The dude had like, oh, man, I can't remember the numbers exactly. I'm going to have to go back and look. But he had way more walks than he had strikes. And he had strikeouts. And he had like single-digit strikeouts. Yeah. And he had double-digit walks. So the plate discipline seems to be there for that guy.
I mean, he's like a prototypical, I guess, like what I grew up on as. Who knows what anything is nowadays? But, you know, Dylan Cruz is a two-hole hitter, right? He's kind of a prototypical two-hole, right? Where he's going to get on base, he's going to move runners over, he can sacrifice when he runs the bases, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Or you can put him at the 9-hole and possibly turn the lineup over. But I feel very comfortable with him playing out there, and I've liked what I've seen from him so far. So, yeah, I think that was a big pickup, especially when they lost Carter Young from Vanderbilt in the transfer portal. And then the Romano kid signed in the draft, which everybody knew was probably going to happen. They needed some more depth in that middle infield. You know, just because I'm sure some of those guys are cross-training, and, you know, who knows if an injury happens or something, you know, you just can't be short up the middle.
Yeah, you need some depth. Mm-hmm. So I got it here. The dude had 19 strikeouts to 31 bases on ball.
Yeah, it's that's impressive, especially in this day and age. And now that you mentioned it seems like, you know, you're going to have guys on this. The power guys are going to punch out. Right? Tanks and I mean, I've seen a lot of punch outs. I think it just goes to the arms on this team. But even a guy like, you know, everybody's forgotten about Cade Veloso. But
yeah,
you want to talk about, I mean, he's not having a flashy fall from what I've seen. But I swear, I think I've been out there 3 times. He's probably taken 8 walks. Or that maybe 6. But, I mean, he's just walking, or hitting sacrifice flies. So just somebody like that, provides a veteran presence, is I think the lineup, I said it in the pod today, is going to be more complete. And I think if they're not able to hit home runs and doubles, so what do you do when you face Hunter Elliott from Ole Miss? What do you do when you face the Arkansas arms? You know, what do you do when you face the kids from Tennessee coming in and it's 1-1 in the 7th? You got to be able to manufacture some runs. And I think this lineup is going to have a better ability to do that this year.
Yeah. I mean, the last year it felt like you could get runs, but there was times where certain parts of the lineup did get inconsistent.
Yeah.
And it did hurt you a little bit.
Right.
Like you said, I think 1 through 9 this year, you can be very consistent at the plate.
No doubt. It's it seems like Jay Johnson, now whether or not he incorporates this during the year, but in the scrimmages, they work on some type of fundamental for during the scrimmages. So when I went out there the first weekend, they were working on sacrifice bunting. Man on first, sacrifice him to second. At the beginning of every inning. They just take a batter, Zach's on first base. Reagan, you get 2 chances to sacrifice. If you don't get it, they just clear the bases and just start the inning. And this past weekend, it was runners on first and second, sacrifice, or runner on first, hit and run.
Yeah.
So I think he's just trying to do more things to make the fundamentals more prominent and kind of get more of a complete lineup like we just talked about. To put more emphasis on certain fundamentals that he may want to implement this year.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
it's all good things.
Chris, obviously, as a pitcher, it matters who's behind the dish. I mean, I know that was also a big question last year. Seems like they could never really solidify the guy last year. Has there been a guy that you've seen? And there's a lot of options. There's a lot of options at catcher coming into this season. Obviously, you have Milazzo returning. You have Hayden Travinski returning. And then you have the young guys that look really good. I mean, Brady Neal looks really good, especially hitting wise. So is there a guy that has kind of emerged a little bit that you've seen at the catcher position?
I would say no. In terms of, I think it's between those guys, and not to rule out Jones and Fry. Those are big kids. They're both 6'4", 6'5". I see one of them probably transitioning to first after Morgan leaves this year, and they've been working them both at first as well. So they're getting a lot of work during the scrimmages at first, opposite the team Morgan obviously plays on. I don't know if those guys will necessarily contribute behind the dish once you get past the first 2 or 3 weeks, but I think there's a definite battle between Milazzo, Travinski, and Neal. And I think Neal is still 17 years old. And I think he reclassified from IMG. I'm pretty sure. I could be off though, but for that kid to be, he caught Skeens on Thursday night, and he handled him great. I don't think you see as many of those drop balls that we saw last year, or just complete whiffs by the catcher.
Yeah.
All the pass balls that I've seen have been really a result of pitchers spiking breaking balls or fastballs, and they do their best to block them. They just get past them. But I think they've shored up some of those receiving errors that we saw last year.
Yeah.
Where people just whiff on the ball, which would drive us nuts. I think it's going to come down to those 3 guys. And I think it's going to be tough because they each bring a little something different, right? Milazzo with the defense, Neal's defense, and Neal's got a really good arm behind the plate, and he handles the bat well from the left side. And then Travinski's got pop. I think he handles the pitchers very well. He brings a veteran presence. So it's going to be a tough decision. And if I had to guess, I would say Neal or Milazzo, with Travinski maybe playing more of a role in the DH or late inning hitter, kind of like he did last year. But it's going to be tough. Neal's going to make it tough on him. And I just think Fry and Jones, not to discount those kids, they're going to be really good players. But I see one of those kids moving to first base in the future probably. They're so big, I'm
shocked we got all 3 of those to come. All 3 of them.
For real.
I'm really shocked about that.
It's crazy, man. And
got crazy depth there.
Yeah, it is. There's it's and in the outfield too. There's a lot of depth in the outfield as well.
Yeah. It's crazy.
So,
well,
to have for Jay Johnson.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, they bring in a new pitching coach, Wes Johnson. Something that you said in your podcast, which, I mean, I love your podcast. I've enjoyed getting to listen to your 2 most recent ones. As soon as I saw you release one, I was like, oh, we got to get this. It's been off season. So, it's been kind of quiet on the 60-foot, 6-inch LSU pod until, of course, LSU baseball season gets started up. But one of the things that you've talked a lot about is the velo taking a step up in a lot of these guys' game. Do you think that is a large part to Wes Johnson and Jay bringing him in to this coaching staff? What do you credit that to?
I would have to give him a little credit. I think some of it too is I think you have to discount the freshmen because it seems like they're throwing what a lot of the scouting reports said they were going to throw, and then some of the transfers. But when you look at returners, and we were talking before we got started here, like Grant Taylor was popping 97 this weekend.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Wow.
last year,
I was surprised to hear.
Yeah. And last year, he pretty much sat at 94, 95.
Yep.
I saw the biggest surprise to me was Bryce Collins popping 94. You know, and he's got that, yeah. I was shocked because he was an 89, 91 guy with that big curveball. But I'm looking at my notes right here. His first inning on Friday night, I got him like 5 94s. I mean, it's just, which
the
is
velo's gone up.
Dutton's velocity went up from last year. You know, so to answer your question, I think you have to attribute some of that to Wes Johnson, and then you know to like Taylor and Dutton. Those guys probably they have to be just getting stronger. You know, more mature within their bodies. You know, I haven't seen Blake Money throw, but if I said, you know, Blake Money's like 97, 96 the whole time, I definitely think that's got to be a Wes Johnson factor. So I think he has to play a little part in it as of right now, you know.
This is a like way, way too early question. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a way too early question, but it's something that I have heard you talk about in the pod.
Yeah.
Who is a group of guys in this pitching staff that you, after going and watching the few games that you've gone to and just from hearing what you've heard, who are a few guys, maybe a handful that you have heard seem like they are going to be in the running for this starting rotation? Again, I know it's really early, but
yeah. I think so. Just to let everybody know, the caveat is, you know, I have not seen Ty Floyd throw in person, although like we were talking about, his stats look great from over the weekend. I haven't seen Christian Little throw, but it looked like Leah Van put out a tweet before we came on. He's supposed to throw Sunday.
Yeah.
So I think if you look at the weekend rotation, Skeens is definitely going to be in there somewhere. And it seems like he may not hit when he pitches.
Yeah.
That's kind of the way it's gone. When I saw him pitch Thursday night, he did not hit. And then Friday, he DH'd. Skeens is going to be in there somewhere. Look, his stuff it's too good. His first inning on Thursday, I mean, I got it right here. He was 97 to 99. And he's going to hit 100. And his velo dropped a little bit, but that's to be expected. Mm-hmm. But I don't see why during the season, the first 4 innings, he's not just sitting 97, 98 with a wipeout slider. A little bit of a change. And coming from 6'8". So I think Skeens is going to start. I think Hurd, Thatcher Hurd is probably going to start. I've only seen him throw 1 inning. I know they're bringing him along slow, but I will tell you this. When I sat down, not this past weekend, but 2 weekends ago, I sat down right as they started on Sunday. And as soon as I sat down, the first thing I said is, who the heck is this? I had to get out the roster, dude. And I was like, that. He looked free and easy, injury free, and he was sitting 95, 96.
Wow.
And so I would think as long as he stays healthy, you're looking at 2 of your 3 starters, and then it's a toss-up, man. It's between Grant Taylor, I think, Floyd. I don't know what Christian Little brings to the table from Vanderbilt. And the absolute wild card of wild cards is freshman Chase Shores. 6'8" from Midland, Texas. And all he did when he pitched on, he started Thursday night. So let me get him up real quick. All he did was he sat 96, 96, 95, and he flashed a 98.47, and the scoreboard goes up to 2 decimal places this year. And he does not look like a freshman. He's composed. I was telling some friends of mine today at lunch, he's not afraid to pitch to contact, meaning he's not trying to get up there and strike everybody out.
Yeah.
You know, he gave up a hit to Thompson. Then he goes strikeout double play, and he's out the inning. You know, he doesn't throw 30 pitches. But, I mean, he was 96 to 98 with, a slider for a strike. And so that's a big leap for a freshman.
Yeah.
But, man, I mean, that kid's got some arm talent. So,
I got to be honest with you. With Chase Shores, I was scratching him a pick. Like, I was scratching him off as a draft pick.
Yeah.
I really was. I'm shocked he's here too.
Yeah, he's going to hit 100 this year. I pretty much guarantee it. And look, freshmen are going to have bumps in the road, right? We're seeing that right now with football. And I saw that this weekend from 2 freshmen that are highly regarded. I think they're going to throw well, but they just had some wildness issues. And it's kind of like I said on the pod, they're going to go through growing pains. They're not facing high school and JUCO kids anymore. They're not going to swing at balls in the dirt most of the time. And especially the lineup sees the guys struggling, then they're really going to sit back and look for one pitch, one spot.
Yeah.
And you miss by this much, and all of a sudden it's 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, and you're in a hole. And then the game speeds up, right? You got men on first, and it's first and second, then it's a double off the wall, and you just let 2 runs in. So it's just going to be, for some of these young kids, some growing pains. But, I mean, the arm talent is there across the board.
It seems like – I was just thinking this. It seems like we're asking the same question, but last year in a negative light and this year in a positive light. Like last year we were going, all right, who's going to be the starters? Who's going to be the weekend rotation? But it was because you were going, like, who do we got? Who are we going to put there, right? And this year it's like, who we going to put there because we got too many of them.
Yeah.
Like, we got depth at plenty of depth at guys that could be starters.
So I think on the flip side, the area of concern is going to be the back end of the bullpen.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, we saw Razelman and Gervais really kind of develop into those roles, and then they just became lights out, right? They were
Riley
pretty
Cooper
much
as well.
Yeah. Now Cooper, I saw him pitch, and I saw Bryce Collins, and Cooper and Bryce Collins were almost an afterthought just because they did what they were supposed to do. I mean, Riley Cooper looked like he went out there, punched the time card. He pitched his 3 innings and got out of there. And he's like, all right, I'm done for the day, fellas. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Seriously.
I did my job.
Yeah. He was 89-90 with 4 pitches for a strike. He flashed like an overhand curveball this year for a strike. And he just dealt. He was like 3 innings, like no big deal. Like barely. He looked great. So
imagine having, like you said, Paul Skeens, and he's touching 98, and then you come in with the lefty and he's high 80s. Like, imagine how hitters are going to have to deal with that.
For strikes.
No, I know. And I think Wes Johnson's going to have a big hand in developing some of these guys' repertoire. You can really see guys working on different things during the fall. And they may get hit around, but to me, it doesn't matter. Like, if you're working on breaking balls and changeups and you get hit around, so be it. You're trying to develop pitches for the spring. But I just don't know. I haven't seen the Appleby kid throw from the JUCO ranks. I think he had closer potential. I don't know who's going to fill I'm sure they got enough guys to set up. I just don't know who's going to close. I don't know. Do you put money in there for an inning and let him blow it out and see if he can get his velocity and confidence back up? I have no idea.
Good.
But
maybe a good role for him.
Yeah. But so I think the back end of the bullpen is going to be probably a question mark heading into the spring, I would think.
Maybe Christian Little, since I mean, from what it sounds like, I mean, obviously we haven't heard much or seen much. We'll find out this Sunday with what he does. Maybe with so much depth, he can't quite scratch into the starting lineup. Maybe he's a guy you can rely on. But I heard that Kel Lansville was not bad either. Have you seen him or heard anything on him?
So I did see him throw 2 weeks ago, and he looked pretty good. I think he threw like 6 innings last year as a freshman. Mm-hmm. And from what I remember 2 weeks ago, he just was aggressive in the zone and attacked the hitters. And I don't really think he got hit around a lot. I think he pitched towards the end of the scrimmage. And I just think it's going to be tough for him to break through, And I think the sad thing is, and I'm not an expert on the roster and the numbers. I have a general idea of how it works, but they got to get that roster down.
Yep, they do.
And I was talking to some other guy. I just think it has to come from the pitching staff. I don't know where else it's going to come from. I think, unfortunately, you have some guys who've been in the program this year that probably haven't pitched a lot, and unfortunately, they may be odd men out when they make roster cuts. So, and I think they're at 44. 44 or 45, and they got to get it down. So,
So you said they're at 40.
I think they're at
40.
44, I think, 44. And I think the limit's 35, but you have guys who still have COVID years, and that number can rise to 40.
Okay.
So, like, I think Dugas, Beloso, guys like that still have kind of an extra year. I think they can They got to cut. I mean, they just got to cut a couple people. So I just think last time I counted before I started the fall podcast, they had like 27 pitchers. I mean, you don't need 27 pitchers.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was that much.
No, I may be off by a couple, but it's above 23. That's for sure.
Wow.
So you don't need that many arms. You know. So
and also you I mean, quite frankly, you got some freshmen that you probably didn't expect to get.
Yeah, like Jaden Newt hasn't pitched yet. He was highly regarded.
Yeah.
Aiden Moffitt pitched. I saw Aiden Moffitt pitch. I saw Griffin Herring pitch from Carroll Southlake out there in the Dallas area.
Yep.
He had a phenomenal high school career. I've seen Bronzini pitch. He's a lefty. And then, DJ Primo from Central over here, he's left-handed. He's been tearing it up every time. I haven't seen him pitch in person, but I've seen some of the tweets of his box scores, and he's done phenomenal. And then they got another righty nobody knows about from Canada, like Micah Buckman. And he's good. He's good too. You know, so it's a lot of arms, man. A lot of arms.
That is a lot. He loaded it up, man. He really did this year.
Yeah.
I mean, you needed it. You really did. And so I don't blame him. And some of these guys like to get on campus, like Chase Shores, Jaden Newt. Obviously, you're not going to pass on that. To get guys like that to come to campus for 3 years, sign them up all day. But roster management is definitely going to have to get cut a little bit. I mean, it's the tough part of the job, but it is what it is. Zach, you got a question for him?
Yeah. So before we send you off, Chris, I think everybody wants to know what's been your outlook on the football season. Obviously, the boys and we're about to cover it here. And we're going to discuss, of course, the big win and 4 in a row for LSU against the Gators.
Yeah, no doubt.
So what's been as a LSU alum and as a guy who has followed the team throughout your time at LSU and of course your time after LSU, what's been in your impression so far? Year one under Brian Kelly.
I think cautious optimism. I think just patience, and it sucks. And to be 100% honest, my son plays college football, and I focus on LSU, but on Saturdays, like I didn't see a lick of the Tennessee game because he played at the same time.
Good news. Good thing for you.
Yeah. So, and I was driving home from Birmingham this past weekend, and we were listening to the LSU game, or we were checking our phone, while we were driving home. So I've paid attention, obviously, not as much I probably have in the past, but it's good to see Daniels throw the ball. It was very frustrating for me as a fan those first couple games, and you saw some of the players' reactions on the sidelines, and you can imagine their frustration. It's just the schedule's a gauntlet like it is every year. And so I hope that they're going to get bowl eligible. It'd be nice to see them get up to 8 or 9 wins. This weekend's going to be tough.
They got a tough stretch coming. They sure do.
Yeah, it's just there's certain teams in this conference I can't stand. So I can't stand. So we beat Auburn. I can't stand them. Can't stand Florida, and I can't stand A&M.
Florida.
Even though they haven't done anything, they just pop off so much. Alabama's Alabama, right? Everybody hates Alabama.
Yeah.
But I think people are just gonna have to be patient.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think people burnt that thing down when they left the building. So it's gonna take,
That's very
my
true.
opinion. It's just some people can't have nice things, dude. Just can't get nice things. So
yeah, he's definitely gonna. I mean, it seems like the characteristics and culture is beginning of what he wants the program to be like. Seems like we're getting into that some. The grit, the fight of the team, the responsibility, the accountability, like you're seeing that, and there's only so much you can do with a roster like you piece together from it being in shambles. And for me, like you said, a cautious optimism. What we've seen with what he's done so far this season, I think is great, and I think it was a huge win this past Saturday. But I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, if Jaden can keep playing like he did this past weekend, we'll see what we can do.
I mean, think about that mentally, to get your doors blown off at home and to go on the road.
Sure. Yep.
I'm going to be honest. I was like, if they don't win this game, besides UAB, they may not win another game. Now, that may be the pessimist in me, but I would love to hear an argument. If they would have lost this
I was with you, Chris.
Yeah,
A&M.
a lot of convincing.
A&M.
Maybe, yeah, and I'm going maybe A&M, maybe.
We should, but it's like, man. So I'm so glad that showed a lot of resilience, just like you said, man. Mindset,
Absolutely.
grit, all that stuff, all that coach speak. But that was big. That's a big time win. So
for sure.